Hey, what's happening, guys? Dan Dario here with another Options and Play video update. Uh, this is actually something that came up or came to my radar on Friday. I was holding off to do the video today because Fridays are Earnings on the Radar video, right? But a few questions came on Friday concerning coin as it like stood going into this upcoming week because it earnings and the stock was having a really nice move. It continued to have a really nice move today, and the question was like the idea of like how do you manage the spread, whether you manage the spread as the stock starts to move into like or above the strike of your spread, and that those spreads really start to gain a lot of premium, a lot of value, and then you have earnings coming up. Okay, so the one thing that I really always stress when it comes to option spreads is risk reward, right? And like this is like same idea with trading in general. It's like what are you risking? What's the potential reward, right? With with a lot of different trades, you could say, theoretically, your reward might be unlimited. You don't know, right? Like a stock could keep going up and up and up and up and up, theoretically forever, right? So your reward could potentially be, who knows, right? However, when you do option spreads, so like a call spread, you know what your max potential gain is going to be, right? Like if you bought the 250 strike calls and you sold the 260 strike calls to open a call spread, you know that the max potential of those spreads is 10 points, right? The difference between 250 and 260, 10 points. So that's the absolute max you could potentially make. Your spreads are capped at 10 points, right? So hypothetically, right? And this is like always the things that I really try to stress. It's like hypothetically, those spreads just straight hypothetically, say they cost $2, right? You're risking two,
Test radio, test
max,
radio.
they could be worth 10, right? So your profit on those, if everything goes well and they close at max value, would be 8, right? The difference between 2 and 10 is 8, right? Now, the stock starts to move higher. It's at 250, 255, 260, right? Then with the stock above 260, say those spreads, again, hypothetically, say they're trading for 7. Say they're trading for a little bit over 7. Say they're maybe trading for closer to 8, right? Because the stock is now at 280, those spreads are deep in the money, right? So they're maybe not maxed out because you still have earnings coming up this week, right? So they're not max value, right? Normally you have to recognize for max value you have to wait for expiration, so they're not going to be max value, but your risk to reward is totally changed, right? So initially when you got into the trade, you're risking 2 to make 8, right? So max being 10. So you were risking 2 to make 8, right? So risk 1 to make 4, right? That's the ratio. Now your risk is stock coming back and they're currently worth 7, and the most you could potentially make on top of that is 3, right? Because they could only be worth 10. They're currently worth 7. So the max you can possibly make from where they are right now is 3. So you're technically risking 7 to only make 3. So your risk reward has totally changed, right? So now your risk is greater, like the downside of the stock reversing and the options going to 0, than the potential upside, which is right now you can only make an extra $3 because they're capped at 10, right? So in these types of scenarios, your risk reward has totally changed. Like you are actually risking more than you could potentially make, and like that is a worse setup going into a major catalyst where there's a chance that the stock could have a huge move, right? So my thinking is when you have those types of moves in your options, and it's a good thing, right? Like the options have moved in your favor, you made money, but you just want to be conscious of the risk to reward on these because sometimes even though you say, oh, it's looking good, I can still make 3 more points, but when you look at it from a risk reward basis, it's like it's really not that great of a setup because you're risking 7 to only make 3, and like that's totally changed versus what it started out with was 2 to make 8, right? Or 2 to make 10, right? The 10 being the max value of the spread. So you could trim, you could roll up to some spreads that are maybe a little bit further out of the money that have a better risk reward profile, right? But this is something that I really want to stress, and the question came up on Friday, or it came up a few times, and I just wanted to talk through it because it's really important when it comes to spreads because you always know what your max potential can be, right? So you have to view what your risk is in that context. And is your risk higher or lower? Is it worth holding, or should you be more aggressive booking, right? Because your risk is higher and your reward now is only a lot smaller. Okay, so just an important concept. I want to talk it out. So, it's food for thought. All right. So if you like this video and you're looking for more information about trading spreads with options, please follow up with the link in the description of the video for more information on options to play. Have a wonderful night. Stay well. And I'll talk to you all tomorrow.